But I think when it's criminal, and then you could sue. I mean, this is outside of Bravo. This is the real world.
Who started the fight? Who got physical first? Candace or the other girl?
Well, that is a whole debate amongst millions of people. Now, technically,
I may have to go
Monique,
back and watch this.
right? Like technically, well, there's really no technical about it. Monique put her hands on Candace first, but Candace was, and I'm not taking sides, everyone, because I've had Monique and Candace on the show. Candace was like in her face, like with hands.
Pushing buttons. Oh.
So nothing was touched. So believe it or not, as this was being, like, you heard about this a year before it aired because lawsuits and everything, but you would think that the world would have sided with Candace because Monique touched her first, but the resulting outcome was most people sided with Monique.
Because they felt like Candace pushed her button so much?
And always pushes. And there was a time in a townhouse where she pulled a knife on Ashley. Now,
what?
Well, it wasn't, let me just explain. It wasn't like a knife like to her throat, but there was a fight and just her reaction was to pick up a knife. I think it was a butter knife. Like it was but the point is she picked up, but she picked up a knife. So it was things of like, so Candace, believe it or not, most people were Team Monique on that situation, which I didn't realize when I heard about it or was watching it. It was after because I don't really read stuff. I liked, until you're going to come on my show, I don't pay attention. Like, then when like Candace was coming on and Monique, I was like, I got to be up on this. I got to really understand. Right. And that's what I realized. And then when I had Candace on my show and there were 200.
How was she?
I personally, as a person, loved chatting with her. I felt that she was real. I felt like I got real answers. And I felt that, and a lot of people did comment like, wow, I see a whole different side of her, which is not really my goal, but she was, she's studying for like, I think the MBA, like I just got a different side of her of like, I almost got a side of like, she understands the job and she's doing the job. She don't want to go nowhere. She don't want to lose this paycheck. And she's really a lot more civil and just straightforward and smart and business savvy in the real world than we see on TV. That is the takeaway I got.
But wait a minute, there are people who can be savvy and smart and have a good business head.
They're just crazy.
But they have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde side. And when they snap and they have a very short fuse, once they get there, they lose it. And she just may be a person that just has no patience. When she loses it, she loses it.
She loses it. And I think she even said on the show, like, I forgot if it was the reunion or a different, like, I just see red. Like, yeah, I think she sees red.
She needs anger management.
Yes. Yes. So then when I talked to her, but then when the comments came in, other than a few people that said, I see a different Candace, the majority of the 200 comments were, this is the most vile person in the world. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Everyone's Team Monique. So that's when I realized, that's when I really realized how it's playing out. Cause it's when someone's on my show and then I read all the comments and I don't delete the comments. It's like, everyone has an opinion. You don't have to agree with me, and I don't have a preference. I love Monique. I had Monique on my show. Love her.
Right.
But most people were Team Monique. And Monique and her husband, Monique actually is one of the rare people on a short list that quit Housewives. Like, she truly did not get fired. How many people can we say that about? She went to the reunion. So like, the thing is, this happened, this fight.
Right. Right.
There was all sorts of lawsuits.
Who did they both sue each other, or did Candace sue Monique, or like what happened with the lawsuit?
I forgot who sued. I think somebody sued somebody first, and then I think there was a countersuit. So I think Candace probably sued Monique first is what really happened, because she's the one that had the hands. I think she went criminal.
Was she hurt?
Criminal.
Was she hurt? I mean, was it a serious fight? I mean,
Oh,
was there blood? Did someone get hurt? I mean, was it just hair pulling and like
hair
scratching?
pulling, scratching, right? Like there was no hospital stay or nothing
No
like
black
that.
eyes, no bloody noses.
No, nothing like that.
I mean, still, I don't excuse that abhorrent behavior by no means, but I'm just, was the lawsuit because someone had to go get a tooth fixed, a nose, you know what I mean?
And I
Was
think it
it
was
like that?
criminal. Like I think it was like assault charges or
Assault.
whatever. But
Wow.
then, so I think it's like when all that happened in the lawsuits, Monique, this was before the show. So like Monique and her husband couldn't really do interviews. And
Uh,
then during the season, when Monique was here, she said Bravo basically said, like, you're off limits for interviews. Like, we don't want you to talk about this. And then finally
wow.
at the reunion, so think about it, it's like 2 years later, it's a reunion. And then that is where Monique and her husband, and by the way, this whole fight, this whole physical altercation was over, I'm oversimplifying, was over Candace perpetuating or starting, not really starting, but being friends with and giving life to a rumor that Monique's husband is not the father of one of her children.
Oh
So,
my
right.
gosh.
So this is out there now for forever. So at the reunion,
Wow.
and by the way, Donnie, this is all sports. The husband is, I think, football. I think he's football. Chris Samuels. I think he's football. Spoken like a
Okay.
gay man who doesn't know. He's some major sports. I think it's
Okay.
football just based on his build. I don't think it's not
Okay.
basketball. So he was, he's like retired
He said,
but
forget it. We're out of this. He was like, we're not dealing.
right. So they
Sure.
came to the reunion and finally, like Chris's point was like, I don't give a shit if you're Andy Cohen. I haven't opened my mouth you've asked me not to for 2 years. This is actually where we're supposed to speak. And now they felt, and I'm not taking sides, they felt that they were getting gaslighted and Andy was favoring Candace and was coming down harder on them. And Monique, according to Monique, she says, it was the reunion where it was clear of like, wait, I'm going to come back next season because she wasn't fired and this isn't over. You're going to now gaslight me more with edits and all this. And Monique said also they told her to go to the wrong hotel. So like everyone was in one hotel and they told Monique, according to Monique, to go to a different hotel so that by the time she got to the reunion, she'd be so fired up of like, wrong hotel and no, where's my hair and makeup? This is just what she claims. And so it's like Monique was just like, I've got it. Like how sometimes housewives have to be fired.
Wow.
And then like 5 years later, they understand how the whole thing works. Monique was like, I understand how this whole machine works. And next season you will
Wow.
paint, you're going to paint whatever the narrative is. I have no control again over the fact that my husband may or may not be, the father of my child.
Wow.
So she's like, why would we ever sign up for this for your
Never.
$300,000? Shove it up your fucking ass is basically what happened.
Go Monique.
Right. So when she was on my show, I was like, that's just the main thing I want to talk about. Like, I mean, the fact that you quit makes me that I love because it's like you're not a fame whore. Like that's when I love you. But not for nothing. That's also why I love Ebony. That's why I love Ebony because Ebony's everything that happened on the show on New York is what Ebony stands for as a human being. If Ebony was a fame whore and was like, I want to hold on to this vehicle, she would have played. She would have said, wait, here are the reviews and people don't like this. And I'm going to pretend like I don't care anymore. So that is whether you agree, whether you like the show or not. I just go to the like, this person is basically saying like my integrity and what I care for is more important than the fame or the money from Housewives. And there is no money in the first year. So whether you love or hate Ebony, people, she is authentically herself. You might hate her, but she's herself. So that's why I love Ebony.